to
the top.
Okay, so this is just a split screen of calls versus puts. When you're doing a call option, you're buying call. You're hoping for higher prices. That's what we said. Call, you're betting on an upper trend. You're hoping for a higher price. When you're doing puts, you're hoping for a lower price. Calls, the market sentiment is bullish. Puts, the market sentiment is bearish. With calls, the underlying security advances greater than the amount of time value you pay for the option. You are winning a trade. That means if you got a 217 call and the stock price was 217.96 and it goes to 220, well, that it advanced greater than that strike. You are in a winning trade. However, on put side, if the underlying security declines, which means you want whatever the price you went in, you want that strike, you want the price to go down. And it declines greater than the amount of time value you pay for the option, you are winning the play. Meaning if Tesla was 217 when you went in, if Tesla was 219 when you went in, and it closes at 217, you are winning the trade. If you chose the correct strike, such as like 220, 225. Yes, Tesla closed below those levels. The underlying security remains stable or declines by losing time value. You are losing the trade. Basically meaning if it goes in the opposite direction, you are losing that play. The same goes for puts. If you went into a put betting on a downtrend and it starts going in the opposite direction, you will lose that play. So basically the whole time you're in a play, you want it to continue going in your direction until you decide to exit. Strike price. We've talked about strike price a little bit, but let's get into it inside of a strike price. A strike price is which a call or a put option can be exercised. It has a huge part in how your option contract plays out. As y'all saw in the previous example, it plays a huge part. If you choose the wrong strike, if you're too far off, you can lose everything you put into a play. So it does play a huge, important part of your option contract. Picking the wrong strike price can incur huge losses, and the risk increases the further out of the money your strike is at. So when we did the 225 call for Apple and Yolanda had 225, the further out it was, you risky, super risky. Further increases the risk, increases the further out of the money your strike is at. That's why I always say when choosing a strike price, if you don't know anything else, all you need to know is what the current share price is. And you want to choose as close to the current share price, whether it's calls or puts. The closer you are to the current share price when you're choosing a strike, the better it is. And if you start, and the more expensive the contract gets for you, when you're looking at those prices, you know that the more expensive ones, it gets better. So if you choose something, if you see a contract that's $800 and you see the one that's $1,000, do know that the $1,000 strike is the better one or the safer one. So once you know that that's the safer one, whatever you do on your own, that's on you. You just need to understand what's safe and what's not safe. That's the most important thing when understanding when you're choosing strike price. You need to know the difference between safe and unsafe. Taking calculated risks. If you see a contract that's 50 cents or $50, and you see another one that's $45, do know that the one that's $50 is safer than the one that's $45. If you see one that's $200 and you see one that's $175, you know that the safer one is the $200 one. But it's your choice to take a risk and choose a cheaper contract. The more expensive the contract is, the safer the contract is. That is the number one thing you need to know when you're choosing strikes. If you don't know anything else, do know that the more expensive it gets to purchase, the safer it is for that play. And understand that the cheaper it is, the riskier it becomes. Simple as that, guys. If it's expensive, the more expensive it gets, it's going to be the safer play. If it starts getting cheaper, the cheaper it is, the riskier the play. And I can't get any more easier than that when you're choosing a strike for these contracts. Simply by just looking at the price will tell you everything you need to know. Oh, this contract $600, this one $950. Oh, okay, off the top, I know that the $950 one is the safer bet, but I like to take risks. We're gonna go with the $600, just as long as you understand. As long as you understand the risks of you choosing that one versus that one. That is the most important thing to understand when choosing these strike prices. Now, what are the terms with these strike prices? Because these strikes do have a term. You got in the money, you got out of the money, and you got at the money. When doing an in the money option on puts, the price of the underlining is less than the strike price of the option. So when you're in the money on puts or in the money on the call, the price of the underlining is greater than the strike price of the option. Understand that you're in the money. This is the tip you can write down. That when a strike is in the money, those strikes will be more expensive than out of the money, and they will be more expensive than at the money. So if you see 3 strikes and you're saying, okay, what's in the money on the put, if you're looking at the 219, for example, the 219 play we just saw on Tesla on puts, the 225 will be considered in the money, and we're going to show some more examples of this on the next screen. The 225 is in the money because the underlining, the price of the underlining, which is the price, the Tesla was $219.80. So remember in the very beginning of the course, we talked about underlining is referred to the share price of the stock. So the price of the underlining, which is Tesla, $219.80, is less than the strike. 225 put is, if you're looking at the underlying price, 219, that is less than 225. So you are in the money. In the money strikes are your best strikes to choose. On the call, the price of the underlining, which was the Apple we did on the call, price of the underlining Apple was $217. The price of the underlining is greater than the strike. That means if you chose a 216 strike, you are in the money. Why? Because the price of the underlining, which is the share price, Apple 217, is greater than 216. You are in the money if your share price is higher than your strike price on the call. You are in the money if your share price, if the current share price is higher than your strike price. Let me say it again. You are in the money if the current share price is higher than the strike you chose. That means if NVIDIA, if Microsoft 425 current current share price, if I choose a strike of 415, I am in the money because the current share price of 425 is higher than the 415, which is my strike. Out of the money puts, the price of the underlying is greater than the strike. That means if Apple is 217 and I chose a put of 215, the price of the underlying of Apple is greater than my strike on my puts. I am out of the money. So here's the tip to make this easier for you. Anytime you're looking to choose a put, if you want to play it safe, you better choose a strike that is higher than the current share price. That is the tip. If you're looking to play a downward trend on puts, when you're looking for your strike, you want to choose a strike that is higher than the current share price. So you can be in the money. If you choose a strike that is lower than the current share price, you will be out of the money and you are taking a risky play. Because the goal, your end goal is to be in the money. Like people say, you in the money. You are in the money. The goal is to be in the money. If you're choosing a put, make sure that the strike price you are choosing is higher than the current share price of that stock to increase your chances of winning. And on the call side, make sure you choose, if you want to choose an upward trend, make sure you choose a strike that is lower than the current share price of that stock to increase your chances of winning that play. At the money is very simple and easy because at the money is the underlying price is as the same as the strike price. That means if Apple is $217, just regular $217, and you see a strike for $217, you are at the money. You are at the money, meaning you kind of not sure which direction that some bitch going, so you're gonna be right there with it. At the money is within 50 cents. It's either at or within 50 cents of that price. So Tesla was $219.80. At the money will be $220. Not $219. Because the price is $219.80. $219.80 is closer to $220 than $219. So you are at the money. Let's look at this in some examples and see some visuals of this. Well, after this one. Risk versus cost. I think we talked about the risk versus cost a lot in the other screen, where the upfront cost of the contracts, if you're in the money, we talked about how more expensive it will be. If the contracts will be a higher fee. Out of the money, it'll be a lower fee. The chances of it expiring at expiration is a lot higher. You'll be in the money. The chances of being in the money at expiration or out of the money is a lower chance. So basically, out of the money is riskier. So like I said, you always want to be in the money. Chances of expiring worthless will be lower. So if you already go into a winning play, the chances of it expiring worthless, like Yolanda's play did on that call where she had nothing left, will be lower had she chose a better strike. However, risk versus reward. If you're a risky player like Lillian, or like Yolanda was in the beginning on Tuesday, how she had a higher profit than everybody, however, her play was riskier. Out of the money options have a high profit potential. Riskier play, high reward. Riskier, high reward. So you got to try to figure out where you lie at. You like to play it safe or you like to play it risky? pretty much. Risk yields higher reward if it's going in your direction. But guess what? If it don't go in your direction, you can lose fast, real fast. So you got to kind of pick and choose your battles here. You want to play it safe? Yes, you're going to get profit. Or you want to take a risk, get out quick, in and out quick pretty much is the risk on choosing a cheaper contract. You have to be in and out pretty quick when it starts going in your direction. All right, so let's look at some of these strike prices. Oh, we only got about 15. What time we in? What time is we?
The time is 1:44.
No, ending.
Today should be ending at 3:30.
At 3:30?
Hmm?
Oh, I thought it was ending at 2:30. I can't end it at 3:30 today. Did you change that? Did it change?
Now let me check the email. Because it goes to 3 and then 3 to 3:30.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to end it like at 3 or 2:45.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So strike prices. And then we'll, like I said, it continues on tomorrow as well. So strike prices. Looking at these strikes, this is just an example screen here of some of the stuff in the past. This is currently we're looking at Apple. So this is inside. What you see here is inside of Robinhood. So if you have Robinhood, this is how the inside of the option screen will look. You'll have the share price right there, marked right there. You'll see it look exactly like this on Robinhood. Share price will be right in the middle. On the left side of the screen, you will see the strikes. 180 call, 177.50 call, 175 call. And as you look at the very top of the screen, you also see what you see: buy, you see sell, you see calls, you see put. Highlighted lets you know exactly what screen you're in. Because the orange is highlighted, you see that you are in a buy screen of the call. Right below that is the expiration dates of each one. So when you click on certain dates, the prices will change. Right now, what's highlighted? What date do you see highlighted here? What expiration date is these particular strikes for? Rayanne?
Sorry, say that one more time.
What expiration date is these particular strikes for?
October 27th.
Is that what's highlighted?
Right. Buy, sell. October 20th.
October 20th. Correct. These are the contracts for the expiration date for October 20th. Right side of the screen where you see first of all, you see the strikes on the left side, and then the right side it has, like for instance, 180 call, you see 0.06. First of all, how many shares of stock in each contract did we say?
100.
So therefore, you're going to multiply 100 times that 0.06, which gives you what? How much is going to cost for that contract for the 180 call?
$6.
$6. It's going to cost you $6 for that one contract. What about for the 177.50 call? How much is it going to cost you for one contract?
$30.
$30. Yolanda, how much is it going to cost you for the 175 call?
$134.
$134. Tiffany, how much is it going to cost you for the 172.50 call?
$325.
$325. $320. What? How much is it going to cost you?
$325. I'm sorry.
$325. $325. Now, looking at this right off the bat on the call, the safer bet based on what we talked about? Khadijah, which one is the safer bet on these calls? The safest bet.
Looks like that 180 for 6.
You said it's the safest bet out of all this?
No, it's not. No, it's not. I'm sorry. That's going to be that 170 for 565.
Okay, you said that's the safest bet. And why did you assume that's the safest based
Because
on
it's the
looking
most
at this
expensive.
screen?
Because it's
And
the
I
most
said it simply, exactly. I said it the most simplest day. Then the safest bet, you're gonna be looking at the prices and be like, okay, I have identified safe. Let's identify what's the riskiest. What's the riskiest so far looking at this screen? Which strike?
that 180.
The riskier bet. Now, based on you seeing safe versus risky, where do you fall in this, Tiffany? What you choosing? Look at the current share price. So what you choosing?
The safest bet is the one.
No, based on you personally, because remember we said the grand scheme of things versus personal. Grand scheme, we have identified risky versus safe. So now we're taking it on a personal level. What are you going to choose? If this was you choosing to play or choosing to strike, where would you go personally?
175.
You would choose the 175 call. Okay. So is that at, in, or out the money? Based on the definition you give.
Oh no. That's out the that would be equal, right?
So is that at, in, or out?
That's out.
We said equal mean out or equal mean at?
Equal me at.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
So 175, is it at, in, or out? Is the 175 strat at the money, in the money, or out of the money?
It's at the money.
All
so
right. It's at the money because what?
It's equal.
Equal to
Right.
what? What are we? It's equal to what? The
The
building?
share price, the underlying price. Yeah.
Because it's equal to the underlying price of what stock?
Of the 175.17.
What stock? What stock did we say this was?
Apple.
Apple.
Oh, Apple, yeah.
Apple. So this is considered at the money, 175. So you would choose the at the money strike right here, 175. What about you, Lillian? Where you say you're going with this on a personal level? So we already understand the grand scheme.
Let's see. I think I would do the 177.5.
Okay. All right. Yolanda, what about you? Where you going? Where your money going?
Probably the 175 call.
Okay, you want to do 175. What, Rayanne, what about you?
Remind me, what's the Apple price again? Please, sorry.
It's right there on the screen. See the share price?
I see lots of share prices.
No, it's only one share price. That says share price.
Oh,
right
there you go.
in the
That's
middle.
the fine print. Okay, so if I'm going to do a call option, I'm going to go up 175.
Okay, so everybody mostly either choose it at the money, or then you got Lillian who went right above. So Lillian, what type is this? In, out, or at the strike you chose? This 177.50. Is this in the money, out the money, or at the money?
In the money.
What do we say definition of in the money was on calls?
More expensive.
That's not the definition.
In the money. Let's see. out of the money.
Well, what's the definition of out of the money?
It's more than the share price,
More. What's more than the share price?
the strike price.
The strike price is more than the share price. Correct. That is out of the money. Right here. What about this 172.50 call? Is that out, in, or at the money? Yolanda? Yolanda, this 172.50 call, is it in, out, or at the money?
It's at the money.
You said it's at the money?
It's just slightly above.
What's the definition of at the money?
No, sorry. It's wait. It's oh, so it's the call price is it's not equal, right? So it's out of the money, right?
What's the definition of out of the money?
Call underline is below.
So is the underlining below?
Okay, no. So it's because it's 172. So then it's so it's out of the money, right?
And what's the definition of out of the money?
When it's below, when the strike price is below.
Is that the definition you got?
That's I'm looking at what I wrote down. Maybe if the underlying is below the strike price. Okay, so go back.
Okay.
No, I mean to the okay.
No wait. Okay.
Okay, and you said for the
172.50 strike.
so it's at the money.
And what's at the money? What's the definition of at the money?
Sorry. The underlying is when it's equal, but let's see. When it's in the money, it's above. But okay, but this is 170. We're talking about the 175 call or the 172?
172.50 strike right here.
Oh, 172.50. That's below the share price.
So is that in, out, or at the money?
The call is so it's out of the money.
And what's the definition of out of the money?
If the underlying is below if it's below. So if this so the strike price is lower. Okay, wait, I'm lost.
I can read the definition out loud and then compare it to what you're seeing here. You said it's out of the money, so read the definition of out of the money.
Price of underlying is below the strike price.
Okay, so what's the price of the underlying?
It's 175.
Okay, and then for it to be out of the money, the price of the underlying has to be below the strike. Here's the strike.
Okay, so that's the strike is lower. So
What's your definition of in the money?
when the call prices, when the okay,
Did you write down the definition?
when the underlying price is less. Wait, when is the price of the underlying is free. So it's in the money, right?
It's in. You said it's in the money.
Wait, I'm sorry. I must be looking at. I'm being sorry. Let me write it down. 170. Is it the 725 is the call, and then the share is 175. So okay, so it means it's in the money, right?
Okay, and why is it in the money? Why is it in the money?
Okay. The strike price is it's higher than the strike price, so it's not.
What's higher? What's higher than the strike price?
The call is higher than the. Wait, I must have wrote it wrong.
Tell me what you wrote.
I put for when it's in the money, the call is higher than the strike price. When it's out of the money,
Hold on. You said for the call. You said for in the money. You wrote what?
the call it's higher than the strike price.
What's higher than the strike price?
The call is higher than the strike price.
Okay.
I wrote. And then out of the money, the call price of the price of the underwriting is lower than the strike price option.
Okay. So that's what your definitions. And then, so when you look at this, you said it's in the money. So why is this one in the money? Based on what you wrote.
Okay, so it's not higher than the strike. I mean the share price.
Lillian, explain to her why which is what.
I'm sorry. I actually had tapped out for a bit.
Tiffany,
Yes, ma'am.
explain what's 172.50 and why it's which strike.
So I would say it's in the money because
Okay, and
in the money it is when, because it's the call, and so whenever it's the share cost is greater than the strike, then it's in the money. So that
When the
175
share price is greater
greater.
than the strike, it's in the money.
Right.
Simple as that. The same definition you wrote, you just apply it to the numbers. The share price is greater than the strike on the call, it's in the money.
Okay, so this is N.
What's out of the money, Khadijah? Give me a strike that's out of the money.
It's gonna be the out of the money. It's gonna be less, so that's going to be 170.
Out of the money?
What's then the price? No, it's gonna be 180.
180. And what's the definition? Why you say 180 is out of the money?
Because for the call is gonna be the price is the underlying is less than the strike.
Correct. The same definition you wrote, you just match it up to the number. You put numbers in the place of the word. The strike is the share price is going to be less than the strike on the call. All right, so on the put side here, is there an ATM been located here at the money? Can anybody identify the at the money strike?
The at the money is. We're still talking about the call, right?
We on puts.
Oh,
The other screen here on the put side.
It's gonna be the 175.
175.
Yeah, that's
Okay, and what would be considered, when do you start going in the money? What strikes start off with the in the money?
172.25.
Did they end?
Oh no.
When do you start being in the money? On the puts, Rayanne.
You start being in the money on the put when the share price is less than the strike price. So
Correct.
right, so if the share price is 175.80, then the strike price has to be greater than, which is 177.5.
Y'all see how she just put the numbers in with the definition? That's all you gotta do. The definition was just put the numbers in and it'll give you the story. The share price has to be less than the strike in order to go in the money on the put side. What about out of the money? Rayanne,
Okay.
when you start going out.
So for out of the money, the share price has to be greater than strike, or the strike has to be less than share. So we're looking at 172.5 or 170.
Yes. And also, the other way you can simply notice it, look at the price of the contracts. That'll tell you if you're in or out of the money right there. In the money will always be way expensive. Out of the money will always be super cheap. Let's see. So this is just another one identifying ITM puts versus ITM calls. Khadijah, right here on this Tesla call, can you identify ITM strike on this? Just any ITM strike on call. ITM call.
Can you say it one more time?
Identify ITM call. In the money call. Yolanda, help her out. In the money call.
In the money, we're talking about the
Would it be 220?
In the money call. Lillian, help her out. In the money.
In the money. So the share price is at 218.25. So in the money would be
217.50.
And why is it 217.50?
yeah.
Because it's gonna be greater than.
What's greater than?
The share price is gonna be greater than the strike price.
Correct. On calls.
Yes.
What's out the money?
It's going. The share price is gonna be less than the strike price.
Okay, the share price is going to be less than the strike. So if that's the case, Yolanda, what's out the money?
that'd be like the 222.5.
Okay. That's one of the out of the monies. Is there an ATM? Do we even have an ATM? Is there an ATM?
No.
No, none has been identified. What about on the put side?
No. Well, there's close, but it's not.
What's the close?
217.5.
Okay, this is probably as close to ATM as you can get on that one. What about on the put side, Rayanne? What's considered in the money on the puts over here?
Okay, in the money on the put, share price less than strike. So a strike greater than share. So 220.
Yes, 220 in the money. And another way of looking at it, the contracts get more expensive. Anytime you're in the money, the contracts are expensive.
Oh.
Out of the money, you're gonna see cheap contracts. Cheaper. It gets cheap, and cheapest. All right. Looking at OTM calls versus OTM puts on Amazon, as you can see, the share price $127.97. Looking at those contract prices over here to the right. Based on just looking at the contract prices, just contract prices alone, where do you see OTM at, Yolanda? Just contract prices alone. What strike is looking really OTM-ish?
At the 129.
Okay. OTM. That's just based on looking at the contract prices in comparison to the others. So we already said that ITM contracts will be expensive. OTM, they're going to get cheaper. Is there an ATM identified, Tiffany? Can you identify any ATM? Has one been identified?
On the call side, it's a little off, but I would say 127. But it's
Said it's a
kind of
little
in the
off and
money.
you chose
It's not exact.
127?
It's not exact. No.
Anybody different for ATM?
Oh, yeah.
28.
Yeah. Who said 128?
Lillian.
Lillian, yes. 128. What about on the put side? ATM.
128 too?
128. 128. Expiration date. All stock options expire on a certain. So, before I even go into expiration date, one thing that you need to know about these strikes, that screen that you just saw, all the apps will look completely different than Robinhood. So every app will look, the location will always, they're gonna all look different. So that's why it's important to understand what's ITM versus OTM versus what at the money strikes look like and its location. Because every app is not going to be situated like Robinhood's app is. So that's why it's important to understand what an OTM strike looks like compared against an ITM. Knowing those expensive versus cheap versus risky, it's important because whatever app you choose, the locations will be different. So it's important to be able to identify what's OTM, what's ITM, what's the difference between them, or what's ATM. Expiration date. All stock expire on a certain date, called the expiration date, and for normal listed options, this can be the 9 months from the date the options are first listed for trading. So every contract you enter, let's say you go into a contract on Monday, options normally expire on a Friday. However, if it's a holiday, it'll expire a day or two, but they will always expire on a Friday for most stock options. On a Friday. So therefore, if you enter a contract on Monday, you can get a contract that ends that Friday, or you can get a contract that ends 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, 1 month from now, 6 months from now, 2 years from now. One thing you need to understand about these, though, the longer your expiration is, basically the more time you have on that contract, the more money it will cost you up front. That means, like for instance, you spend $400 or you see a cost for a strike on a particular contract that says $400 that expires on Friday, this coming up Friday. Well, if you want it to expire 2 weeks from now, then it might cost you $600. Because in options trading, time is everything. The longer you have for a stock to do its movement or do its thing, the better chances of you having for that play. So if it's too short, you might not have enough chances for or maneuver room, leeway, or things like that. So so here's the tip. The longer the expiration, the better it is for you. Because time is everything. But remember, time, what they say, it pays the cost to be the boss. So the longer you have, the more money it's going to cost you up front. So if you're one of those people who do not like to take risks, aka those people who do not like to tussle, two things they're going to for sure do is they're going to choose in the money, which is more expensive contract, on this more expensive strike, and the expiration going to be longer than a week. They gonna always choose minimum. I'm talking about minimum 2 weeks. Now I ain't even mention maximum. They gonna choose minimum 2 weeks. These are for the people who do not like to tussle, aka Toheed.
There you go,
He's gonna choose a minimum 2 weeks out, and he gonna go in the money. What you say, Toheed?
You got that right.
He does not like to tussle at all. So it will be best for you to play it safe, especially initially as you guys are learning, because you do not want to blow your account. Choose in the money, which is strikes, which is the more, the safer strikes, and choose longer expirations, at least minimum 2 weeks from your initial entry. Long-term option contracts or long-term equity anticipation security or LEAPs are also available on many stocks, and these can have expiration dates up until 3 years. Meaning you can go into a Tesla contract on Monday and have it, and the expiration expires 3 years from Monday. A lot of people choose LEAPs for long-term investing purposes. It's almost like buying stocks, but you're buying contracts that you're investing on 3 years, 2 years. So you're anticipating its growth or decline, whichever direction you choose. But like I said, the longer the expiration, the more expensive the contract will get for you. Meaning, if you get something that's that expires a year from now, it might cost $200 to expire on Friday, but $2,000 to expire a year from now. Any questions on that? On expiration? Look at these expiration date examples. Same stock. We're looking at puts on Amazon. If you look at the October 20th expiration, look at the prices. But look at June expiration, which is a much longer, further expiration. Look at the prices now. The longer the expiration, the more expensive that contract is. The pricing compared to June. So that's what I wanted you to see. The longer your expiration is, it's gonna get the price. The price is gonna go up there. What they say, Family Man, it's up there, Steve. Yeah, the price is up there. It gets up there. It gets expensive if you want a longer, especially when you get into the above 6 months to a year, 2 years. Price goes up. Price does go up. Now, this is pretty much identifying the differences of we're looking at the Walmart calls, as you can see. Like I said, again, explaining this is all Robinhood screen, left side strikes. You got the price, share price through the middle, and you got the different contract prices. Based on the cost of it, you can pretty much tell what's in and what's out of the money on these. In on this left side on the calls. Actually, look at this. So on this left side, you got October 20th highlighted. The right side is October 27th. Look at the price of the contract between the two. The 162.50 call for October 20th. How much is that, Rayanne? 162.50. How much is it gonna cost you on October 20th expiration?
$62. Sorry, $62.
Compared to October 27th. So if you add an extra week, how much is it gonna cost you for that same strike?
$131.
$131. Lillian, where you tussling at? Are you tussling? Which one you choosing between the two expirations?
It's $62.
Oh, Lillian likes to tussle. You like to tussle. Oh, okay. Yolanda, which one you choosing?
As probably the 131 just to start to see what happens.
Okay, all right. Tiffany, what about you?
I would choose the 131 too.
Okay. Want that more time? What about you, Khadijah?
Since I'm on training wheels, I go with that 131.
Girl, please stop.
Oh, when I get good, I would do 62.
Oh, when you get good, you get the 62. Okay. All right. But I always say minimum. Minimum for swing. And we'll talk about swings later on, but swinging is simply when you're buying, let's say you jump into play on a Monday and you don't plan to exit on Monday. Like your end goal is to swing. It means you're going to hold it overnight. Anytime you hold a contract overnight, you are swinging it. You always want to plan your trade and trade your plan. Meaning whatever, when you go into a play, you already know your plan, your end game. Like you going in and you saying, hey, I plan on swinging it. Meaning when you went into that play, you do plan on holding it overnight. If that is your plan going in, I always say minimum 2 weeks out on these plays. If your goal is to swing a play, meaning you holding it at least overnight, no matter how many nights, but at least you're holding that overnight. Minimum 2 weeks expiration you need to see. If you plan on getting in and out the same day, mean you in and your goal is to get out same day, then you can shoot for a shorter expiration. But for the new, if you new to this, play it safe. Minimum 2 weeks. Just minimum 2 weeks out. It'll be your best bet. Minimum 2 weeks. All right. All right. So, key tips on expiration, as I was saying, choose expirations at least 2 weeks out or longer when you plan on holding a play overnight or swinging a play. The longer the expiration, the better chance you have for a successful play or a successful plan. The shorter the play, Lillian, the riskier the move. The longer the expiration, the more expensive the contract purchase will be initially. It is okay to get a short expiration if your plan is to get in and out the same day, which is called a scalping method, day trading method. If you already know, hey, I'm getting in and out of this play the same day, it's okay to get a shorter expiration. But if you're not good at reading those charts, you better get a minimum 2 weeks out. Minimum. Because short expirations recommended for strong chart readers only. Now, these are the different strategies that you would choose when you're trying to go about finding what strike. You're going to be looking at the bid and ask spread, volume and open interest, implied volatility, and the Greeks. Let's get into some of these strategies. The bid and the ask spread. The bid and the ask spread is the price that buyers are willing to pay. That is the price that buyers are willing to pay. So you might see a spread that say the contract price is $2 versus $2.10. Buyers are willing to pay $2, but they're asking $2.10. So with that being said, when you go in to buy, which one will get sold? $2 or $2.10? You got the bid at $2, the ask at $2.10. Buyers are willing to, the bid price is what the buyers are willing to pay. The ask is what the sellers are willing to sell. So you got bid at $2 and the ask at $2.10. What is the price you have to put in order to get that thing sold?
$2.
Anyone? The bid is at $2. The ask is at $2.10. In order for it to sell, what price would you have to put in order to actually buy that contract?
$2.
$2.10.
$2.10. It literally says the ask is the price at which sellers are willing to sell. So therefore, if the bid is $2 and the ask is $2.10, you need to put minimum $2.10 in order to acquire the contract, because that is what the ask, the people who are willing, the sellers who are willing to sell it to you for. $2.10. Can it be sold at $2? What would have to happen in order for it to be sold at $2? The bid is $2, the ask at $2.10.
The ask has to be at $2, right?
And the ass gotta be there. The ass gotta be there. It has to be there. In order for you to get anything, be able to buy anything, the ask price. Are you giving what the sellers are asking for? 200, I'm gonna ask you where's the rest of the 800. But if you're, well, here's the kicker. If you're always buying at the ad and selling at the ad, you could possibly be getting ripped off. And here is an example. This is just an example of Roku. Looking at a strike price, this is an old, very old screenshot. Roku, $44, $44, $45, $46, $47 strike price. As you can see here, bid is $550. The ask is $680. In order for this $44 strike to be sold, how much do you have to put in to get it sold? For the $44 strike.
$680.
$680. But this is where you choose on how to choose strikes with this spread like this. If the spread is too wide apart, which is $550 versus $680, I always look at a different strike. The tip here on bid and ask spread is you want your bid and your ask to be as close together as possible so you won't be getting ripped off. You want your bid and your ask to be as close as possible. That means if I see a bid of $550, I want my ask to be at least $560, $555. $680 is too far away from $550. You want the bid and your ask to be as close together as possible. If I see $540, I want to see $545, $547, $550, $560. If I'm seeing $630 versus $540, it's too far apart. I want my bid and my ask to be as close together as possible to refrain from getting ripped off. So therefore, I will find different strikes that has the bid and the ask spread to be as close together as possible. Now, sometimes you will see the bid and ask spread far apart like this, simply because it may not be a popular stock that a lot of option traders trade. But if it's one of these popular stocks that people typically trade buy shares of stock often, you will see the bid and ask spread pretty close together. But sometimes it might be far apart on some of these stocks because it's just not a lot of traders in it. It's not very popular. So that's one of the key things of finding a good strike is having that close spread. So you can kind of look at not getting ripped off. So basically this is good so you won't be saying, am I paying too much? You never want to pay too much for a contract. And in order to avoid not paying too much, make sure the spread is as close together as possible. Any questions on that? That's the tip. To avoid paying too much, make sure the spread is as close together as possible. That's the tip. That's how you're going to know if you're getting ripped off. Volume and open interest. Volume and open interest. Two key technical measures that describe the liquidity and activity of an option and future contracts. Now, this screen right here you're looking at is inside of a strike. So on Robinhood, when you actually click the strike, it's going to open up another screen that's going to show you the inside of it. And this is what you will see on the inside. So you see a whole bunch of stuff working on the inside of that strike. It tells you kind of like what's going on. And two important things you will need to see what's going on is the volume and the open interest. You want to see the contracts that's involved. How many? Is it a lot? Is there none? You want to see how great this strike is. If all the traders if all the people, if there's a large amount of contracts here, then 9 times out of 10, it may be a good strike, or this particular stock may hit this strike sometime soon by this expiration date, because a lot of contracts are in this strike. But then you want to think to yourself, okay, there's a lot of contracts in this strike because it's cheap. Because now you want to think like, okay, is this a risky? Yeah, like I see it's high volume, high open interest, but how risky is this play? And the risk will be determined by your own personal risk tolerance level. Because we know the grand scheme of things. We know what's safe and what's not safe. So how would you determine what's risky? Your own personal risk tolerance level compared to what you know is safe and not safe. So volume refers to the number of contracts traded in a given period. As you can see here, the volume, the inside of this volume says 2,664. The open interest denotes the number of contracts that are active or not settled. So there's a 48,500 active contracts in this particular strike. So what is the strategy or tip here in choosing volume open interest when you're looking at strikes and determining which is a good strike? The strategy here is people often go where you say follow. Simple strategy is follow the money. That is the strategy that's called for in volume and open interest. Following the money. If you know one of my students who's now an assistant coach in our Discord, Desiree, that's her thing. Follow the money. She looks at the strike. If there's a lot of interest, follow the money. It must be something. Somebody knows something because there's a lot of money involved there. There's a lot of contracts. Follow the money. So that's the strategy people use that's one of the strategies people use into determining volume and open interest. Basically following the money. If there's a lot of open interest and volume there. There's a lot of interest in volume there. People follow the money and choose that strike. Now don't follow the money and bust your damn head because you done went so cheap and everybody and their grandma was over here and you chose this risky play. Because you were following the money and chose this risky play. So that's where it goes in of knowing your risk tolerance level. You know what's safe, you know what's not safe. So even though this strike has the follow the money strategy, how risky is this particular strike though? How risky is this play? Yes, you got 48,000 contracts that are active, but this particular strike, first of all, is the in, at, or out the money? How risky is it? So are you gonna follow the money, or are you gonna do what you know how to do, which is play it safe? Any questions so far with bid and ask and open interest and volume? Any questions so far with the bid and ask and open interest and volume strategy? So I'm going to go ahead and stop there.
Okay.
Yes.